Hello, everyone in podcast land. I'm David.
And I'm Jono.
And this is the podcast where we play the mixtapes that you want to hear, the songs you know, the songs you don't, but always with the good opinions. It's the Let's Wing It podcast.
It's a bit spicy opinions because I have, you clicked on the video, you clicked on the podcast. You probably saw the title. We'll talk about it.
We'll see. I have Vito's power on the title, so you're not going to be able to be too spicy. Yeah.
50-50.
I'm very excited to hear what you want to say. So this week we are talking about the brand new James Gunn piece, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, closing off that little franchise before he fully moves on to be a full-time DC head. Very excited to see what he does there, but in the meantime, he closed off this franchise, and we are very excited to talk about it. I'm very excited now. Jono, why don't you tell me what you think of Guardians?
Well, before anything, too, it is a spoiler cast because we're going to talk about every
full spoilers.
Aspect. Yeah, so if you plan to see it,
go see it.
Pause, watch it, and come back and listen to this. Or if you don't plan to see it, which is probably a lot of you, go listen.
Yeah, we'll try and give you enough context that you don't need to see it if you're not planning on seeing it.
Yeah. All right.
Jono, what did you think of Guardians of the Galaxy 3?
So here's the title if you didn't veto it. James Gunn left Marvel for a good reason.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. Break that down for me. What does that mean for you?
Obviously, what you alluded to this earlier, he left Marvel because he has the position of like a Kevin Feige level position at DC. Mm-hmm. So he has like a lot of control. Granted, he has proven himself to be very capable of DC properties and storytelling in that side because he's the only one that actually has successful movies. So there's that.
Sort of. I mean, what's your definition of success? Because The Suicide Squad was like mildly successful, but it made less movie than all the Zack Snyder movies.
Less money than
it made less money, but creatively it's so much better. I fucking love the Suicide Squad, Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad, and then also Peacemaker. Like just those two properties had more story than all of the other DC movies, except for the first Shazam. And that's it. So I was like, this is good. Oh, I guess Wonder Woman.
The first Wonder Woman was pretty good, but it was like if that was a Marvel movie, we would have been like, pretty generic, pretty like fine. Like I'm kind of tired of these boring ass superhero movies, but because it was DC, we're like, that was pretty fucking good. It was right. Yeah,
it's a low bar. That's the problem. But
whereas the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, I agree, are like actually great.
Yeah. So here's the reason why. Here's the reason why is that because when you watch a James Gunn movie, right? It's like, especially since not a lot of people knew who James Gunn was before Guardians of the Galaxy. He was kind of like an indie low level, but he still had some big movies. He brought a level of edginess and comedy and action really well blended into a really great story. Because the first Guardians of the Galaxy, still my favorite. It's still like my favorite like Marvel movie.
Marvel? Yeah, it's up there for me too.
Yeah, the second one was okay, but it's still pretty good.
It was pretty good.
This one, it felt like James Gunn was so gutted that
you're so wrong. You're so wrong.
No.
You're so wrong.
So
you're so wrong.
No.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Are you on track? Like what the fuck?
No. Those some parts are fucking awesome, but those some parts I'm like, they're like, why did we do all of this? There's like no reason. There's like maybe one reason to do it, but it's just like, overall the movie, if like we didn't have the Rocket whole arc, I would just be like, this is the worst movie I've ever seen. Like it's seriously like,
come on, okay, take out the hyperbole and say that again. It is not with the worst movie you've ever seen.
It's like to me, I gave this movie like a low 7, like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, low 7's not the worst movie you've ever seen. If that's
the worst, boring as fuck. It's a boring as fuck movie. It's
you are like so wrong.
No, it's like okay. Here's the big thing. Rocket was the only thing great in that movie. Peter Quill's part was okay. Gamora's part was amazing. Nebula was like, Drax was actually pretty good. Mantis was awesome, but it's like Peter Quill's part. I'm like, I don't care about this.
Yeah, but he's not the main character of that movie. It is Rocket's movie, and I think that's the point. And so I think for you to be like, you just named like 5 of 6 characters, and you're like, their parts were pretty good. There was one part that I didn't like. So then what? I'm gonna give my overview of the movie.
Sure.
It is a very different vibe than you. I think that this is a thoroughly satisfying conclusion to this franchise. I think that he wrapped it up in a really emotionally powerful way. And I think that we got all the threads that we wanted closed. They didn't resort to really simple storytelling. There's kind of like a little bit of complex answers, but it's really satisfying in the way that I didn't expect and I hoped for, but I had sort of not expected this movie to do. I think this is the best Guardians movie. I think it's better than the first one, but the first one has the element of surprise on its side. And that's why I think it's so beloved, is that we all had low expectations. And this second one is definitely worse than both. And this one, I think, is like, has so much going for it in so many departments. And I'm sad that you didn't get the experience that I had. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I wasn't like blown away. It's not like a 10, but it's a solid 8.5 for me.
I don't know. For something about it, like I just watched it, I was like, oh, why did he go to the organic planet just to find out that the stuff that they got was really useless? I was like, oh, it was just like that first.
No, that's not true. It was super useful. They got the thing that gave them the information, gave them the history of Rocket.
Yeah, I guess.
And also allowed them to know like where that guy, what the guy was, so that you could like find him. So it actually was super useful. Also, that was a fucking awesome fucking sequence. That was incredible. The style of it is the best that Marvel has ever done. That's what I love about this movie, is it stands apart from anything that is Marvel. It doesn't rely on like Marvel-ness to be a good movie. It's just an awesome sci-fi romp. It's a great adventure despite being a Marvel movie. Like, it could be its own separate franchise and it would be fucking awesome.
Oh, and I mean, so there's no mention of anyone else in the Marvel movies.
I don't think so. Love it. I'm so sick of Marvel being Marvel-y, and so this is great. And so we'll talk about that style. So the organic ship, it's like the high-tech lab, the corporate office. It's not even the high-tech lab. It's the corporate office of OrgoCorp or whatever.
It's the front, the money front for, what's the guy's name again? I totally forgot.
So the high evolutionary.
Yes, yeah. It was just a front for him just to make money so he can fund his shit. That's what I remember from it.
Yeah, it's kind of like the legitimate business arm of what he's doing. So he can just have freedom to do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
So this ship is, they show you it, and it's like this gross fucking asshole hanging out in space. And I'm talking like a legitimately, like literally an asshole in space.
Did it look like an asshole?
A little bit. It's got rings and shit. It's not quite an asshole, but it's got a big like sphincter hole thing. So they have to go, and it's like the heist sequences in this part. And so, you know, they don their suits, and they're like these mid-century, like 60s sci-fi astronaut suits, and they jump through, and they have to like, you know, open a hole in the gross organic stuff. And this is where I strongly disagree with you. There's a strong James Gunn flavor in the details of this movie.
Oh, yeah, it's
the fact that there's like a gross like gore, like cut thing open, and like there's like slime that comes out and everyone gets covered in it. And so they break in, and then the style on the inside, it's all mid-century modern, but everything is like bones and guts, and it's this incredible visual, like really distinctive style. That is so strong, so interesting to look at. I found myself just like my eyes darting everywhere. I was so visually stimulated at every point in this movie for the first 2/3. The last third, I'll admit, is like pretty generic sci-fi. Like they kind of just default to, you know, like grungy ships and like, you know, like dark corridors and stuff.
Okay. So I think you're kind of misunderstanding like my part, one reason why I didn't like it. So the stylistic was really cool. I liked them when they were jumping. It was kind of neat. Mantis just kind of fucks up the whole way through, which is kind of, I found it kind of weird because
What do you mean she fucks up the whole way?
Like,
she's just so not it is. Yeah, it's not explained that she's like, you know, not physically good. But I think the explanation would be, I'm guessing it's not random. The explanation would be that she's always been a planet dweller, and she hasn't done as much spacefaring as the rest of them, and so she's not used to no gravity. And that would be my like good faith explanation.
Yeah,
it might just be that they needed a joke in that moment, but I'm willing to give them a chance.
Yeah. So here's the thing: visually, it was great. Like I thought it was good, but to me, I'm like, oh, for storytelling, for content wise, you only really get to pay off the whole thing at the end. So the only thing I only found one I only learned one thing the whole sequence was like, oh, Mantis is actually fucking dope. Like she's actually super really strong. Cool. Yeah. Because like out of the second one,
you find out so much else. What the fuck are you talking about? You find out a lot of the dynamics of what Gamora and Peter are doing. You find out, a lot of what this Orgo Corp thing is. There's lots of like little details that are dropped on like the grander scale of everything. Yeah. And so I think you're definitely oversimplifying the amount of information that's given throughout that sequence. And I think that like the character building they're doing, like the journey they're taking us on, is so fun, so fantastic. And like it's constantly like switching gears. Like when Peter and Gamora, like they're at odds and he's like, check this, I'm going to turn on the charm. And like, he just makes a fool of himself and she pulls out the gun and you kind of get an idea of what it is. You get the sequence, it escalates, escalates. And then he actually is able to pull out the heart and the charm and trick her into doing it. He's like, I'm not that fucking stupid. Like, obviously I'm not going to do that. And he tricks her, gets the stuff. And so there's tons of character play happening. There's tons of action. Like the Mantis Drax fight is so fucking fun when she's like, you're a kitty now. And the guy's like, meow, meow, dance. I don't know. So fucking awesome.
It was just something about it. It just didn't like click with me. I was just like, okay.
You're allowed to not have it click.
Yeah. To me, it's just I don't know. It just like everything felt just very like, and this happens and this happens. Oh, but this is like, oh, the typical caper kind of shit that goes wrong with it. And like, oh, this is actually like a little bit of trap because they knew it was going to happen because they accessed the files. They're going to ambush them. And I don't know. I'm just like waiting to be like surprised. And I never felt surprised in this movie. Like, I think that's the big thing. I never felt really like going, oh, wow, I didn't think that was going to happen. It felt like, yep, that was going to happen. Yep,
but I mean, like, I mean, that's pretty normal. Like, there's very few movies where I'm like, holy shit, that fucking like totally came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And I felt like there was enough twists and turns that I wasn't expecting. Yeah. And like the fact, like you said, the whole Rocket storyline, like that's a third of the movie. That's fucking heartbreaking.
I think that's two-thirds of the movie.
So, well, if you're counting like the stuff they're cutting in between, but I'm talking just like the flashback stuff. So that's like a third of the movie. That's just like this emotional roller coaster, so fucking intense on my heart that I couldn't believe it. And I was like upset in the right way. And holy fuck, I was like, I was moved to tears a couple times in this movie, but like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I was literally like super sad. Like I had to take my glasses and go like, oh my God, like I can't believe they actually did that. Like in a good way of like, oh, they actually like pushed the boundaries on that part. And like, okay, I think my favorite part was him breaking out. So just for the viewers, if you don't care about this show, like you should still watch it. I even though I'm giving it a 7, I still go, you know what? Go watch it if you enjoyed the first two. And especially since you kind of like need to know the setup for the rest, and you should see it because this is James Gunn's last Marvel movie. Yeah. So it's really good. So just for kind of synopsis, well, I mean, just like for the Rocket part, you finally get to see Rocket's origin story, which is kind of like teased for the last decade, I believe.
Yeah, he's always been hesitant or he's always like resistant to talk about it. He's like, I don't want to talk about it. And so there's something up. There's like experiments and like some dark, angle to it, but we don't know exactly the details.
Yeah, so you just basically enough see him kind of go through his whole experience, why he's like that sarcastic, but he's also why he's so intelligent, inventive. Mm-hmm.
Well, and the movie does a good job. The setup of the movie is we're all in nowhere, which is like the base of the Guardians of the Galaxy. That's
cool.
Space
I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh,
fuck, that set is fucking incredible. Like the amount of space that they built, absolutely mind blowing. They used it in the Christmas special, and I was like, this set is so good. I can't imagine. I imagine they built it for 3, and they're like, we got to use this for more. But anyway, so they're all in their base, and like, what we're gonna do? They give you a state of the character, so every character kind of gives you a little bit of information of like how they're doing. Quill is like in this really dark place. He's like stumble drunk, and that's been like his daily norm for however long because Gamora's gone. And so we see that Rocket is, a certain way. We see that Quill's a certain way. We see Nebula's a certain way. We see Drax is a certain way. And there's this there's this really good little montage to great music, because it's a Guardians of the Galaxy music. It's Creep from Radiohead, which is overplayed, but somehow the acoustic version in this movie really worked for me.
Yeah.
And so we get the state of the characters, and then fucking right away, Adam Warlock flying through the fucking sky, smashes through the skull, and then we get the inciting incidents. He fucks everyone up.
Yeah.
And no one is working together, and so he's able to kind of like beat everyone up, but he gets to Rocket, and he lasers Rocket, and Rocket's too mechanical, and he's got this kill switch in him where no one can operate on him. So Rocket is knocked out, he's almost killed, and he basically, that's the framework for all his flashbacks, is he's dying and he's flashing back to these experiences.
What I will say this, my favorite character the whole show, other than, you know, the main cast, Will Porter, or is that how you pronounce his name?
Oh, yeah. Fucking Will eyebrows kid.
Yeah. He's so good at this. Like, he plays, because here's the thing, you know, in this end of the second one, the evolution, high evolutionary, that group of people is actually made by the main villain, the antagonist of this story, which is actually really like, oh shit, I did not know that. But they made him so they can get revenge on the Guardians of the Galaxy because Rocket stole from them and they made him look bad. So that was kind of cool. It was kind of weird how it was only two of them. It was just the Queen and the kid.
Yeah. So in the second one, we see a little bit more of that society. Like we have a whole, you know, fight with the gold people in their remote drone spaceships. But in this movie, we only get the two. And I get it. This movie's already packed. Like there was no room to give us any more. But I agree. It's a little bit strange that we only get those two gold characters.
But like, you know, the Warlock, he's super powerful. But I just love, because he's supposed to be like an ultimate super being. But he explained, it's like, oh, you took him out too early, so he's kind of dumb.
Yeah, he's like a kid.
Yeah, he's literally between like a toddler and like 12. And you can see Will plays it up. I think he does a really good job, because he's like, oh, I'll take care of him, and destroys that one guy, which is hilarious. I loved it. It was like, that's typical James Gunn. Good job.
Yeah, exactly. The setup is like, you know, they're interrogating a prisoner, and the mom is like, show him we mean business. And he just disintegrates him essentially. And like, what, dude, we meant to show him we mean business, not like destroy him,
kill him. So the whole thing was like the kind of like, I just love the storyline from Rocket. Like it's just, it's such a well-rounded origin story that just hits all the right steps, going how, you know, who he is, how he became, how he's really smart, and what's kind of his motivation. It just goes check, and then like check and like superstarred, because it's like really well done. Because I literally did cry. I think I did literally like, I just started like feeling really emotional, because it's like the whole premise of the story is that, you know, your family is who you kind of like choose to be with, and they all chose to be together. Therefore, they are a family. Because like when you see the whole group of them, like Nowhere is all a bunch of misfits. Like you see every single character. You see like the Russian dog, which I don't understand how she became like I like it, but it's also like this character kind of came out of nowhere.
No, they've been since the first one. They were in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. They just were like a background character, and then as they've kind of done more movies, they've sort of progressed to the foreground.
Well, I mean, like, did that dog, like that character, like that's like an OP character when you actually like look at it a whole, because like telekinesis, talks, and lives a super long life. Like, holy shit.
It's a space traveling dog. I don't really worry too much about it.
Yeah, Howard the Duck is pretty good.
Yeah, it was a nice little like moment with Howard the Duck existing.
Yeah, so I don't know, just like.
But let's stick on the Rocket stuff for a second.
Yeah, Rocket stuff. Yeah,
the first frame of the movie is Baby Rocket, and it's like a cage full of raccoons, and then the movie is signaling this is Rocket's movie. This is the story of Rocket, and the other characters are more active because, you know, Rocket is out for the count, but the story belongs to Rocket, and they even say it explicitly at one point. They're like, "You didn't know it, Rocket, but like this is your story." And so they show you like, you know, the start of giving him his experiments, his like implants and stuff, and he gets tossed in a cage, and he's tossed in a cage with these other animals that have been experimented on, and they are kind kind of more mutilated than him. On the outside, he's basically a raccoon, but like, you know, he's been experimented on. So there's like kind of artifacts of surgery or like little bits of metal, but they have like, you know, it's a rabbit that's hanging limp and it has spider legs, or a walrus that's paralyzed essentially and is using wheels, or an otter with no arms. And they make friends, and they are the cutest, greatest friends he could ever have. And it's so sweet and innocent in a way that feels so precarious. And you know, obviously it's not going to fucking last. You know, like, okay, I've seen Guardians of the Galaxy. I know Rocket doesn't have these best friends that he calls once in a while.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Okay, this is already a spoiler anyways. I was hoping that he had to fight them. It's like they're so indoctrinated that they were gonna live in the new society that either they're gonna be like revived and it's just like the high evolutionary just like fucking Rocket's mind just to get him to like break. But he's like, which is like, I'm fine with, I was really looking forward to seeing if that would happen, but I'm fine with the outcome that they brought in, is that when he was trying to escape, they were just, they unfortunately enough, Lila was killed directly, but the other two were killed because of collateral damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
it's just upsetting.
I hear what you're saying. I think I would have been too upset if they brought them back in like a, you know, they're like zombie husks there to torment Rocket, because I think one of the things that I'll praise this movie for is having animal torture in your movie is pretty intense, and it's a fine line between, you know, emotionally manipulative and like strong narrative. And I think this movie plays the line pretty fucking smart. And so I never felt like it was like the movie went too far, or like the movie was like really fucking with me. It was just like telling the story in an effective way, and it was obviously emotionally like moving. But it was never like, oh God, why are they showing me this? Or just like, if it was something that enraged me, it was something that made me mad at the High Evolutionary, who I want to talk about. But like, I actually think he's one of like the best evil villains we've had in a long time. Because he's just like actually evil. And I'm so grateful.
Yeah, because like, you know, Thanos was really good. Like they really understood all the feedback in the Marvel movies where all the bad guys suck. Like they're just there to facilitate the greatness of the hero. Like that's a problem. But it's like in Avengers Infinity War, you just see him like, oh, you know, like, does he have a point? No, ultimately, like it's been proven that his reasoning is super dumb. But you felt for Thanos. This one, you just want to be like, I just want to see this guy get fucked up. Like,
well, yeah, I think like Thanos is the classic. Like he's probably, you know, other than Loki, who doesn't really count as a villain anymore, Thanos is the best Marvel villain, and he's great because, you know, when you're watching the movie, you're just like, let him finish. Let's
see where he goes with this.
Let him cook. All right.
And you're like, and that wasn't good.
And so, especially in Infinity War, he's a very sympathetic villain, and you're like, okay, yes, stop him, because obviously life has value, but like maybe don't.
Yeah,
and then in Endgame, they fuck it up and they turn him into just like a stupid simple villain. But and like there's been a trend, it's like when Disney movies and Marvel movies and everything, where the writers think that the best kind of villain is one that like isn't evil, they're just misunderstood. And that's fine. I like misunderstood villains. I like movies where you're like, it's revealed at the end, like no one was evil. It was just like kind of, you know, people doing the wrong thing to kind of express themselves, or doing this wrong thing to explore something that was their hurt. But we've done too much of that. And I was like, I've been craving just like a good, this guy fucking sucks, and I want to see him die so fucking bad.
Yeah.
And High Evolutionary was a great one of those. And what he's great about him is, from his perspective, he's not evil, but from everyone else's perspective, even his own crew turns on him, and they're like, nah, this is too fucking much.
That was so good. That's so good, because like, you know, going back to Thanos, it's like he knows he's doing bad, but he's doing it in a way that it's going to be a benefit. Like he believes that's good. This guy, he's just like, I just don't like you. I just want to make you like perfect in something because I'm imperfect. So,
well, and exactly. He knows, he has this deep insecurity, and he's like, I want the perfect society, but he thinks that he doesn't understand that there's like a moral center to what the perfect society would be. He just thinks that it's like an evolutionary thing. And if you make like the perfect being, then it'll all kind of work itself out. And I love that sequence when we go to Counter Earth, and it's all these animal bipedals, and it's like these essentially like humanoid animal versions. So like we get explained how they turn turtles into Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or bunnies into giant mutant bunnies, and we go to this planet, and it's just like the 1970s New York, and it's like what you see in movies.
Is it 80s?
Like people get
1980s.
It's it would be more 70s. And so like late 70s, maybe early 80s, but especially the decor in the houses is like very 70s, like that brown, orange, green. But you see like people getting mugged. You see like drug deals. And it's like, this is the perfect planet. It's like, no, of course it's not the perfect planet because the guy has no moral center. How could he create the perfect planet? And I love just like that whole sequence, that reveal of that planet and the playing on that planet. But then also everyone fucking dying on that planet. Everyone dies on that fucking planet.
It's so sad. It's so upsetting.
Yeah.
So this is actually the one thing I want to kind of go one thing back is to explain.
Yeah, sure.
So the higher evolutionary really wants Rocket not because of who he is, his personality, is because he has that trait, that evolutionary trait that actually does make sense when you think about it. Is every batch he makes is always better than the last one. But Rocket has that inventive personality.
Yeah, he can actually create.
Yeah, he can actually create. He can actually figure things out to make it better. So in a way, he's kind of like the high evolutionary as himself, but in a nicer way because he just wants to be friends with everything. Mm-hmm. So that him, the reason why they found that out is because Rocket figured the filtration was too small or something.
Some whatever shitty MacGuffin thing.
Yeah, to make all the beings encounter Earth. And I was like, this is great, and kind of sets it up why he's driven to get him, that obsessive nature, because he has that one trait that out of, I guess, maybe billions of test subjects, he couldn't find, and that's why he's so special, which is great. One thing I want to say about Counter Earth, I know you loved Organic Planet, but I love Counter Earth because it's such a good representation of just like, humans aren't all that bad. We're not the only ones that really fuck up. And I love that sequence. I think you were talking about like him just driving through the cities and just seeing getting worse and worse and worse. And I loved it when Quill or Star-Lord kind of confronts him. It's like, this is the perfect society. It's like, this ain't perfect society if you see an octopus dealing meth to kids and you just see him going, that's true. Yep.
That's why I have to destroy it all. And it's like, no, like that's not moral. That's not ethical. That's not how we do this. But I just think like, to me, I think you were saying one of the weaknesses of the movie is it feels like Disney reined James Gunn in. To me, I'm like, there's so much James Gunn weirdness in this movie. Like that all of Counter Earth, like the design of those characters is so uncomfortable and weird, but it's so fun. Like all the spaceships are different and weird and tell the story. Like there's so much like production design and little like texture details in the movie. And then there's like violence. Like they decapitate a lot of people in this movie. And it's like
was there a lot of decapitation?
Yeah, there's like a decent amount of decapitation. And like there's like blood and like they decapitate the pig and it's just like holding the pig head. That's just like for like a good minute. And it's like, this is violent for a Disney movie.
Well, I mean, was it rated R or is it 13?
No, it'll be PG-13 because there's only one fuck. Which was I can't remember exactly the phrasing, but it was Peter Quill in the car when Nebula is like can't figure out the door.
Oh, he's like,
and he's like, press the button, and she's like, I can tell you're pressing the lock. And she's like, okay, and then she's like, the instructions were unclear, and I can't remember what he says, but he says fuck at that point.
Like, it's not that fucking bad. Like it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. So it's just like it didn't feel like it felt like he could have gone a little edgier. Like I think that's just the only thing is that like all the storylines were really good, but it just felt like maybe I'm just because I just watched the Suicide Squad like a couple weeks ago. I'm like, this is so good, it's so edgy, and it's like it just kind of like jumps. But just like this one felt. It's just like Marvel, Kevin Feige. I could just see him in the corner going, don't do that. See,
I actually don't think that's what happens. I think that James Gunn's strength isn't just edginess. Like edginess on its own is nothing.
Yeah.
It's it's the heart that he gets to insert into that edginess. Like somehow he makes it that like these fucking characters that are fighting a giant starfish punch him in the eye, and you care. And you're like, I really care about the details and the characters of this. And it's like, it's all weird, but it comes together in this crazy way. And so obviously this is less violent and less edgy than the Suicide Squad. But to me, this carries forward the spirit of the weird and like the strange, just like wrapping around itself and coming together in this really strong package. And so it's not as violent and it's not as edgy, but the edginess isn't the thing that interests me. It's all the things that he does that makes the edginess work. And all those things are still present in this movie, in my opinion.
Well, I think maybe I'm missing something, because it was just like, because there was like that time where I think they were going to that planet and they're doing the typical like Peter and Drax's, kind of the back and forth constantly the whole movie. And which is seen for the last couple movies. It's like, oh, we're going to kill anyone who stands in the way. It's like, no, we're not going to kill anyone. It's just kind of like, it's so good at the end. He's like, I'm going to kill that one person no one cares about. Like, ooh, now you made it dark.
That's really, that's sad.
Yeah, that's sad. But it's just like, I'm like, what happened? Because it's like the first and second movie, these were still kind of killing people. And then third one's like, nope, I'm going to be like, I will be the Guardian of the Galaxy. It's like, is there something I missed maybe in the Christmas special? Because he seems like he's like now superhero.
I don't think Peter Quill was ever like wanting to kill people. I think he was always, a self-interested treasure hunter, bounty chasing dude. And so whereas Drax is Drax the Destroyer, and so he revels in death and killing and stuff. And so I think that tension was always there. And I think let's go character by character. We've talked about Rocket. They fucking nailed it. And when he does get resuscitated and he's so let's talk about a little bit more Rocket, because that scene where he's on the edge of heaven and he's talking to his friends, that got me. That was like full tear, not just like eyes watering, like I gotta hold my breath. Like that was full tear. And he's like, can I come with you? And they're like, yeah, of course, but like it's not your time now. I was like, yeah. But then Rocket gets to go back and fucking close the book.
I really love that scene, but I was kind of like hoping that Rocket goes, it's like, hey, you should, like, I wish it was kind of a little reverse, like them asking, like, hey, come, like, fly with us, fulfill your promise. And I kind of wish like Rocket kind of like self-aware that he has friends. It's like him going, no, I gotta do this. I gotta like help my friends. Like that's what I was hoping for that scene. And maybe that's how like my frame of mind for this whole movie. It's like I was expecting something and it didn't do it. So therefore I'm a little bit kind of like, oh,
sure, you wanted things to go a certain way.
Yeah, I think because my opinion is, because this is maybe just for me as a content creator. Like I wish he realized that saying I need to help my friends or I need to go back to be with my friends is more stronger than my desire to go with my old friends, which, eventually enough one day he'll be with his friends when he passes away. But yeah, that scene was ultimately net great. I think it could have been better.
I can hear what you're saying. I don't think that's Rocket's arc for this movie. Like Rocket's arc for this movie isn't like understanding the power of friendship. That's like kind of movie one where that's more focused, and two sort of, but not really. And then this one, the thing that's interesting is he's like, the story's about him, but he's not really the protagonist in the sense that he has like this big arc. It's like the protagonist is still Quill. He's the active one. He's having this big change. Like we'll get to him. But Rocket in particular is not having this big, huge emotional arc because he's out of it for the most of the movie, and it's it's a flashback, and so he
doesn't change. He's the same person from the beginning to the end.
Yes, and so I don't think that. I like your idea of like him choosing to stay behind, but I don't think that's like what's necessary for this movie. I think it's almost like more bittersweet in this context to have the friends be like it's not your time. And then he gets back, and I just love that hug between him, Groot, and Quill. I thought it was so sweet. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that surprised me about this movie is I think they've always done a good job with like the friendship aspect, but this movie is so like there's so much love for each other. Like the level of connection and like the depths of their friendship and their relationships feels so real in this one.
Yeah. So I think Rocket, no growth. He just kind of realizes that he is good. Yeah. Like maybe that's one thing I'm really confused because like even by the end, what does Rocket really learn? Friendship or acceptance of who he is. Maybe that's why I'm just kind of like going, okay, like if I'm kind of doing the hero circle, what has changed? I guess maybe he's more accepting with people. And that's the only thing.
Well, I think it's like really we're seeing him transform from, the cynical sidekick to the plucky leader. And so really we see the flashback of his arc from being like a really sweet, innocent child to being a more cynical adolescent / adult from in the last third, like he grows and becomes like the person who should be the leader. And I think there is growth, but it's just the movie's focus isn't on his growth. I think it primarily focuses on the rest of the Guardians, the ones that aren't knocked out for most of it. And I think it does some pretty cool stuff. Like let's talk about Quill. I think they do such an incredible thing with him and Gamora. So if you haven't watched the other movies, basically Gamora and Peter fall in love in Guardians 1 and 2, but she dies in Infinity War, but she kind of comes back from an alternate dimension / the past in Endgame. So Gamora exists in this universe, but it's not the Gamora they knew. And she doesn't care about the Guardians. And she doesn't love Peter. And so he's heartbroken because to him, she's dead. But there's this person that exists out there that doesn't give a fuck about him. So it's almost like worse. And so he starts the movie as this like pathetic drunk who can't really get it together. And at the start, when he first sees her, they go to her because Nebula knows that she's the person they need to talk to break into this thing. It's fine, convenient story reasons. But she just like has no interest in him at all. And they spend the movie growing them closer together, but it's different. And I think that they did such a good job. And I was worried they were going to do a romance. And I think what they do with where they land is perfect, where they learn to respect each other. And Gamora clearly like learns the friendship and the love for the Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah. But it's not this unrealistic version where like they do the group hug and she rushes up and does the group hug and she's like, Quill, I love you. It's like actually kind of more what would happen. So I don't know. It sounds like you have hesitations. What do you feel about that?
No. I'm in the same way. It felt very like she spent like 90% of the movie super angry. And then it took a while until she explained going, I'm not that Gamora. Can you leave me alone? Go away. And then you're like, oh, okay, that's fine. So, but I don't know, just like at the beginning, it's like you see her, they're kind of a little bit awkward. And then she just spends like 80% of the whole movie screaming at people, shooting them, shoots James Gunn's wife in the movie, which is hilarious. Like, you remember that scene?
Who's the wife?
Oh, you know the woman in the organic planet who was like doing all the security cameras?
Oh, that's his wife? Oh,
that's his wife, who's also in Suicide Squad, also in Peacemaker. She's like the leader.
He does that. Like the guy who took up Yondu's mantle, that's his brother too.
Yeah, that's his brother. And I think Nathan Fillion, he's like in everything. He has a big role in this movie.
I'm fine with that. Yeah, which is I thought he was pretty fucking funny. I love that. He's like, his introduction and everything they do with him is so effective in a small amount of time. So you just see he's like got this lieutenant dude who's just so fucking stupid, and he like calls him out on a lie. But then when he's when the Guardians are trying to lie their way into not getting caught, he's like, oh, you have they connect on the fact that Drax is kind of stupid, but his lieutenant's kind of stupid, and that becomes a reoccurring joke, and it's really fucking funny. I've got one of those.
I got one of those guy too. Well, I mean, then she like does it with like someone else, like oh, your warlock is kind of dumb. Yeah, I got one of those. He just kept going with it, which is perfect, which is great. But I don't know, Gamora, to me, like her character felt like it took too long for her to realize going, hey, doing things for the good reason and not just because it's going to profit you is a good thing. Because there was like all the parts showing like there's a different way of doing things. She's like, no, just do it this way in the organic planet. She refuses to help in the counter Earth. And then she like kind of starts helping right when the planet's exploding, when it's like still kind of like, I wasn't really convinced that it's like, okay, is she helping herself or she wants to help everyone? And then it only took until they went into the high revolutionary ship to kind of like, okay, then she has that full kind of arc going, okay, there is a reason why the Guardians work, because it's not the power of friendship, but it's power to help people. Like,
see, to me, you just described a perfect arc.
I don't know.
Like, she's opposing them, and then she kind of like she's intrigued, but then the opportunity to betray them sort of unwittingly presents itself, and so she kind of betrays them. She gives the gold people their location because she doesn't want to be part of this. They're fucking her over. Like, they're like, sorry, we can't drop you off. We don't got time for this shit. And she's like, I didn't sign up for this, so fuck you. I'm going to do my own thing. And then we get to the planet, and during these times, during these conversations, during these experiences, she slowly starts to understand these people are good people, and like they deserve, my compassion. And then I'd say the like planet exploding is kind of like we're 60 to 66% through the movie. And so that's when she starts to really turn into like a teammate. And so I think having her arc complete itself in the third act is, to me, felt very satisfying, totally okay. And they do enough like wavering between she's a teammate and she's an enemy that I felt very satisfied.
But I don't know. It felt like she just screamed for all of that. And then when she starts kind of like becoming quiet and then listening, then she starts changing. Because she just like screamed for the first 2/3 of like, she threw Peter against the wall. She shoots everyone. She puts that girl in the gunpoint. And then, I don't know, it felt like every time I see her on screen, I'm like, I don't like you. It's like,
it sounds like a Ravager who's come from another dimension and had to prove themselves a bunch in order to survive amongst a cutthroat society.
It's just kind of weird because like, you're a Ravager, that's not your people. I like it. Peter was like, I'm a Ravager, and look at me now. It's just, I don't know. It just felt so weird. It's just like,
I so strongly disagree, because to me, Peter's misunderstanding. Like he is a Ravager, but also like he doesn't get it, because like at the end you realize like she is part of the Ravager family. Like they're so connected, and like I love that little like montage moment when she gets back and everyone's so happy to see her, and she's so happy to see them. Like I was worried they would kind of give us like the like, maybe this is like the look on her where everyone's smiling and laughing, and she's like, oh, maybe I missed the Guardians. But like, no, she's genuinely part of that family.
No, like I'm really happy that they did not have Peter and Gamora together. I would have just like walked on me. I'm like, this movie's so like stupid. I would have given this movie like a 3 if I saw that happen. I'm like, that is dumb. This is like, okay, Marvel, like Disney really got the hands into this. Like that's dumb. Do not do that. It was perfect.
Kylo Ren and Rey. Fuck you.
Fuck. I don't want to talk. I think.
You can't open that can of worms.
God damn it. But it just. I liked how they kind of made it in like, okay, she is a different person. Like you finally realize she's a different person, and you just got to let it go. And it just kind of like felt like a breakup, a really dramatic breakup, and then two people moving on with their lives, which is a good lesson that a lot of people need to think. Because like when you leave someone or they leave you, they have different lives. Like I've talked to my exes, like like over the last 10
as you
years.
should. It shouldn't be like, just pretend to stop existing.
Granted, one did reach out to me. She was like my first girlfriend, lost my virginity to her, and she showed me a kid. I was like, that kid looks kind of like me. And she's like, no, it's not your kid. I'm like, oh, thank God.
Okay, good.
Thank God.
She just dated someone that looked like you, which is also, kind of a compliment, but.
Haha, yes. But I don't know. Like, maybe it's like, I like Zoe a lot as an actress, but then to me, it's like this one was. I think it's because I read an article about how upset she is with Marvel too. So I think I read that.
Interesting.
Saw the movie because she's really upset at how she's getting treated in Marvel as like, oh, she's just like a space alien woman and she's just yelling all the time. And I think that reading that going into the movie kind of changed my mindset about her character.
That's fair. I did not read that article. So I can totally see how that context would give you a different perspective.
Zoe Saldana? Zaldana. Yeah, she's great. I love her.
Yeah, she's great. And I definitely feel bad for her. I feel like she's kind of pigeonholed into like, the love interest with a bit of an edge in like every movie. Like it's interesting that she's kind of defaulted into these roles. And you can sense that she wants to break out of it. But I also think that she did a little bit in this role compared to the previous ones. Like I can understand your frustration because, you're like, it's Gamora. Like, she's done this arc. She's a different character from 1 to 2 through Infinity War. And so she's had this growth. And this Gamora feels like she's taken a step back and she's kind of more in that primal angry state she was at the beginning.
She was a number 1, but pre-number 1, just like angry all the time, which is
kind of. But exactly. Like, but I think hey, there's like a meta moment of you experiencing what the movie wants you to experience. That frustration that character is not the character that you know. And so that's like, to me, that's masterful.
Yeah. I think my like another favorite character that I think we're done talking about Gamar. The one character I really like Nebula. Like when you actually look at her
she's
whole
amazing.
Arc, she's so good. But I will say this, probably because everyone else is probably thinking about it. I was like hoping, I was like, can we get together with Star-Lord? Because it kind of was shaping towards it, especially in that one scene.
Maybe. I like that one scene where he's like, I never noticed how black your eyes are. My father gave me them, but it's a form of torture.
It's like,
he chose well.
He chose a really good shade of black.
That was really fucking funny.
Because there was that one scene when she drops him off in bed and he like holds her. And I was like, oh, is she giving like a scene like, oh, like either she feels sorry for Quill or she kind of was like starting to feel for him and sympathize or was growing feelings. So I was like, I don't know. It just felt like there was a lot of like mixed messages, or maybe they're hinting it for the next one. I don't know. Like, whatever.
So I think that this is another James Gunn strength where he's very much in touch with what the character motivations are and like what they should do. And he has a better idea of like where to take it than a normal Marvel writer would. Yeah. And to me, a huge mistake that so many writers across all forms of media fall into is close relationships fall into romance. That like anything that's a good relationship where people show love and kindness and compassion to each other will like is building towards romance. And 100%. I really like that Peter in his moment of desperation is like, Nebula's kind of pretty. Maybe I do love her. But the movie is like, no, they love each other. Every one of the Guardians fucking loves the other one. They would give their lives for the other ones, but it's not romantic. And I think that's very good writing and very good restraint to show. And I fucking hate how much romance is always the default of love.
No, I 100% agree to you. Like, to me, maybe I'm kind of like hoping maybe eventually one day, who knows? But I think Nebula is a good enough character that she can stand on her own and just just be on it, let her do her own thing. And her motivation at the end is like, I just want to stay in nowhere and make a society that's better and more peaceful than what I experienced growing up. And I was like, that's cool. I like that. Yep. That's perfect. Because it just reminded me of the whole relationship of like the last other movie we watched, D&D, which was Chris Pine and Michelle Rodriguez's character. They love each other because they're best friends, but they're not romantically involved. Like that's the perfect relationship. Because here's the thing. Here's the reason why why I did like it, but this is why I respect the decision that they didn't do that, like the romance, is that because for me growing up, I've had like 90% of my best friends or my good friends are all women. Like, I'll be honest, I don't know why. Maybe it's because I grew up in a household where my dad was gone a lot and I grew up with my mom and my sister, only women. Sure. And just growing up like that, I just expected just to be friends with women out there. I don't really have romantic feelings for all of them. I had one and then we just became friends and it was fine. It was good. But Nebula is great. Like, she just grew a lot, but I feel like she was also a little bit overpowered because I was like, where did you get that arm from?
Well, so Rocket makes it for her at some point in between the movies or during one of the movies. And I like that, she's basically like a weapon, a walking weapon. And so the idea of her and Rocket working together makes a lot of sense to me.
It's like she's a walking Swiss Army knife. Like she did everything.
Yeah. Well, and like her arm, it's kind of like, nanobot arm that can do a bunch of stuff. Yeah. And I think it's interesting. That was actually one of my nitpicks in the movie for sure, was when they're, dropped into the Sarlacc pit or whatever the Alderac pit, those tentacle monsters with the teeth that are from the second movie. Yeah. And, it's a great scene when Mantis is like, they're more scared of us than we are of them. Let's pause a second. We'll connect. And then she connects with them and she tames them. But when that was happening, I was like, bro, Nebula, you have a fucking Mega Man cannon, dude. Just like,
yeah, because that's the thing. Is that like you see every single situation where it needs like this like special unique solve. She's there. She goes like, oh, we need to open a hole in this organic planet. I'll just use this thing, and then or even with the Warlock, it's like she literally, like you said, Mega Man cannons him until like he stops. Oh no, and also she stabs him with this arm. I was like, what the fuck? This thing can do this, and then the ship lost its controller. But then she just connects to the ship and becomes the controller. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what can she do? Like, literally.
To me, it didn't bother me that much. Yeah. Because I don't think they like she's there to solve problems, but she doesn't like fix everything. She's there like for kind of specific small problems that there would be easily other ways to do it. You know, like she goes and she picks up a sword and stabs him, or, you know, she has a gun. So it's just kind of a cooler, more unique way to have it, that she has this nanobot super arm.
Yeah.
But I actually thought, I was wondering before the movie, and I don't know if you felt this too. I was like, who's going to die? Who's the Guardian that's going to die? And I thought it was going to be her.
Yeah, I literally thought it was going to be her sacrificing herself to hold the ship.
She was piloting the giant sphere, or the cube.
Honestly, yeah, that's the thing. It's that if like, I think that's where I was like kind of like back of my head, and that's why I felt like maybe like James Gunn wanted her to sacrifice herself, or like other Guardians, because spoiler alert, none of them die. They just leave at the end. And that's why I'm kind of like it didn't felt like there was a self-sacrifice moment. Because like the trailer was sold me that someone was going to die, or there was like a huge loss or sacrifice moment, but that never came. And that's maybe where it felt like Marvel got too into it, going, James, no one can die because we got to sell shit, or we got to make
I actually think it's the opposite. I think that Disney would be like, James, it's your chance. You get to kill someone. Who do you want to kill?
I don't think so.
They get to have this big moment of like, nice. We get like the Marvel death. We get to milk this for the next 5 movies, baby. And so like they kill characters in Marvel, and then they bring them back, but they kill them. And so to me, that doesn't feel like a thing that Marvel is like super against doing, is really at the end of a franchise killing one of the characters so they can, you know, milk this drama from them.
I know it feels the opposite because of just how Disney is just like a whore with milking the shit out of the licenses, like the fucking bag of BB-8 oranges. What the fuck's up with that? But yeah, I don't know. Like,
do you think there's another Guardian Galaxy movie that they have immediately planned? Like, to me, it feels like they might do a TV show in like 4 years, like the deadbeat Guardian, like the Guardian Reject movie or a TV show. I could see them doing like something like that. But to me, it doesn't feel like Disney was like, James, you cannot kill anyone. That's not a possibility. I think like if he had wanted to, he could have, but I think he was more interested in giving the audience like this joyful like ending, like this beautiful, happy ending to this franchise that he's no longer part of. And I think he gave that to us, and it was a gift.
Yeah, he ended the series really well, because like, all right, let's just finish off all the characters. Drax becomes a dad. Cool.
That was that got me too. I cried on that, because it's like, I think it's Nebula who's like, Drax, like, you call yourself the Destroyer, but you were born to be a dad. Yeah. And it's like, it's so good because they make fun of him the whole movie, because they fucking are open about how stupid he is. And like, he's unable to form metaphors or simile, or like, there's tons of great jokes. And I think they did a better job developing the kinds of jokes he can be involved in the third one compared to the second. Yeah. But I think they also did a good job with like his like emotional anguish, and this moment where he connects with those kids on the ship, and he like, you know, he does his dad thing, and he comforts them. I was like, this is so sweet. And like, this is a side of Drax we don't get to see. All we heard was like, he loved his daughter, and Thanos killed his family. Yeah. But we get to see Daddy Drax, and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, because
it was like one of my favorite moments.
Drax in the second movie was such a waste, because it didn't. He just was just a comic relief, which was really dumb. The third one, like he well-rounded. Him being a dad again was great. It was I kind of wish they kind of like did the confrontation of Mantis going, yes, he's dumb, and then she kind of made him forget, and like, oh, I kind of wish they kind of like resolved that, of her expressing her frustrations, like, yes, you're dumb, but you have such a good side with him. But other than that, she's like, yeah, you're dumb. Oh wait, forget. It's like, oh.
I think that's a fair criticism, where it's like, maybe they could have resolved it better, where he had to accept that he was dumb. But I also think that it's like, it wasn't super important, because it's such a passing moment of like, we are open about your stupidness to you. And he's like, oh. And I think it's more for the audience than for him.
Well, like, I think the frustrating part was like, the reason why I wish they can kind of resolve and explain his actions, because before that sequence, it's like, he was told to stay with the ship. Obviously, he's not going to listen. He's just going to do off his own thing. But it's like, he really kind of like fucked everything up. Like, everyone could have easily died in that whole sequence if he just stayed with the ship. Like, if he stayed with the ship, things
he would have been able to defend Raccoon. a rocket. He would have been able to be there on the ship. They wouldn't have had to go back and rescue them.
Yeah.
So I agree, but I think that's the point, is that Drax is a fucking stupid,
Yeah, I just wish he was just like, I just wish he kind of like, they explained of like, he just wants to do it because he wants to be useful. Like, I think if they had like that kind of like resolution and dialogue between Nebula and Mantis and going, yes, you're dumb. We get it. You want to be useful because you have this empty feeling of you want to be useful to your daughter that was killed. Like, I think that if you could have incorporated that, I'd be like, perfect. Yes.
I hear what you're saying. To me, I feel like that's like kind of left unsaid in an okay way. Like, I didn't feel like I need the characters to say that. I'm like, I know he has this daughter-sized hole in his heart, and everything he does is, partly due to that. And he's always compensating for the fact that he's failed so much in his life. And so I don't need the characters. To me, in that moment, I totally get it. Sometimes I want characters to explicitly state the conflict or explicitly state their desires. And in this circumstance, I felt like I understood his inner motivations enough that I didn't need that.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I want it to be explained more explicitly, especially with other people who can't get that kind of like reasoning there, is because they keep telling he's so dumb in all the movies. It's like, okay, dude, like, it's just a point of repetition. If you just like keep saying he's dumb, people are going to be like, oh, he's just a dumbass. Like that.
See, I don't think someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they've ever explicitly called him dumb until this one. I think they like talk about how he's unable to, understand metaphors or like things that once you kind of understand that he's dumb, it all makes sense, and it's all part of, the narrative of him being dumb. Yeah. But I think they haven't been explicit about, he's just fucking stupid.
Fair. I think it's also just the fact that I just didn't like how Mantis just made him forget. But anyways,
I agree. I think that's a kind of a cop out in that instance where it's like, actually, this is a good opportunity for communication and drama. Yeah. And instead you've kind of just erased it.
But what are you going to do?
But other than that,
Mantis.
Groot. Mantis. Let's do Mantis. Yeah. Mantis doesn't have a huge arc, but I really like what they do. Her connection with Peter. I like that they've really made her an essential piece to the core of that team. Goddamn. Will we brief? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. No, I think I needed this movie to show off Mantis' skill, because in the second one, that's where she gets kind of joins the group. It's kind of like, you're powerful, but I don't see your value quite there. Like, it was only good for a specific use case in the second one.
Yeah, not combat or anything.
Yeah, but this one, it's like, oh, you go to like, that's one reason why I like that sequence of the organic battle, because she's like, oh, she gets past the security guards, boom. She like fucking annihilates all those security guards. Like, she kind of got out of that whole fight sequence unscathed.
Yeah, she's so fucking badass. Well, and she's, like I talked about it where she's like, she touches the people and like, you're a kitty cat. Boom. Yeah. You need to dance. You're fucking angry. Kill everyone. And I was like, oh, that's a really cool way to expand on her power and include that in combat. Yeah. But even like, just like in the earlier Deception, when she touches the guy and she's like, you're madly in love with him. And like, he's like, why do you always make them fall in love with me? And I thought that was really funny. I wish they had paid off that joke later. Like, I thought, because you see Drax get shot twice and it almost seems like he's dying. And so I wanted that guy to show up and be like, no!
Oh, that would have been so good if he funny saw it happen, and then you start like, he's like in that slow-mo sequence, like he's like carrying Drax, because he's a big guy. I was like, surprised
he could have carried Drax. Yeah.
I was like, how come Mantis is carrying Drax? Like, whoa, like he's a big dude. But yeah, like, it's just like, it showed off her powers, and also she's really good, obviously, at reading people and kind of being like, she's like the Deanna Troi of Guardians, because she's like reads people and gives all this advice.
She's kind of like that emotional. She's not quite emotionally intelligent, but the emotional like center-ish. And I like that she can, she can give power or give thoughts to people. Like, it's not just she can sense thoughts. And so I love what they do with her. I think she's funny. Have you seen the Christmas special?
Not yet, no.
You should watch, like, next Christmas. You should watch it because it's Drax and Mantis focused.
Yeah.
And they're just so funny together. I just thoroughly enjoy the chemistry.
And then also like you kind of like she walks away with those 3 creatures from the second movie, and I'm like, oh, she's gonna be super fucking powerful. Like she's oh no, here it is. No, she is Captain Planet. You know that one kid, the Indian kid.
I never watched Captain Planet. I like seen clips, but I never watched it.
So viewers out there, if you haven't seen Captain Planet, just like watch a couple of clips. So he does like all the elements. There was earth, wind, fire, and I guess heart. Oh no, water and heart. Heart was always made fun of, but you actually think about it, heart is so good because it can control all planets, like all animals, communicate with them. And it's like, oh, that kid is actually the most powerful planeteer of all because he controls animals, and that's how like I think Mantis is. Like you kind of go like, oh, she's weak sauce, and this one you're like, oh fuck, she's OP'd. Like
she's fucking so bad. Well, and they give you a bit of her actual like combat prowess, like you see kind of her martial arts ability, and it's fun. Like I think the fights in this entire movie are excellent. Like they did a really good job with the fight choreography. So there's kind of like there's 2 big like fights, and then there's like shootouts and explosions and like double crosses and shit. But the 2 fights are Drax and Mantis on that ship, and it was fucking awesome. It was super fun. And the other one was kind of the epic team up moment. Everyone is fighting together in slow mo, and it does the like we're following one character, watching them use their abilities, fuck everything up, and then they'll team up with one character, and then the camera will follow that character for like 30 seconds and watch them fuck it up.
Actually, okay, wait. Here's the thing. How did you see this movie? Like, what kind of?
I saw it in IMAX.
So, did you watch the IMAX 3D?
No.
Okay, so I think I fucked myself watching.
Oh, did you see it in 3D?
So, I'll talk about this a little later. When you go to AMC and you pick a movie, they will explain what it is, but they don't really kind of give you an idea if it's like this is what you should pick. So they're like this. So I picked IMAX with 3D, laser 3D or laser IMAX, and I think I should have picked the non 3D because it was just like that sequence, that team up sequence was so fucking hard to follow. I'm like, oh, so that happens, and you're like, that happens. I just got so confused. So I just literally was like, okay, a lot of cool things are happening. I'm just gonna look at the floor because my head hurts. Like,
I can totally understand that because like the camera is moving around a lot, and I found as like movies have clearly stepped away from prioritizing 3D. The 3D's actually gotten worse because I'm not anti 3D. I think 3D at one point was kind of sick, and it was really fun, and it added dimension to the movie. Like Avatar 1 and 2, I think are like great 3D movies. I think there's been good animated like Pixar movies and shit that are 3D, and I've enjoyed them. But I felt as it's become less and less of like a necessity to have all the big movies in 3D. All of them kind of are worse at 3D, and so I'm kind of sad you had that experience because that sequence is so fucking fun watching it in 2D.
The only part that was super clear was like Peter's a little bit because honest to God, all 3 movies, Peter's like the worst fighter, which kind of makes sense. He's not a fighter.
He's like the leader. He's not the fighter.
Yeah. I think the part that was really cool was watching Rocket just like blast people. I was like, yeah.
Especially because he's been out of commission for the whole movie. So this is like the one sequence he gets to show off his power. And so when he's like, when Groot's growing his arm and he's running on it and shooting people, I was like, this is pretty fucking sick.
Yeah. All right. Let's go with the last character, which was Groot.
Yes.
I don't think there's not much really to say about Groot.
They do a good job. What did you I didn't love his moment. So they've done it before where, at the end of the movie as an emotional punctuation, he says something other than I am Groot. And so in the first one, I think it's fucking incredible when he's like, we are Groot.
Yeah.
I thought that was so powerful. Like and it's just like very believable that, he can say that.
Yeah.
But in this one, he's like, I love you guys. Or what does he say? Like, I love.
So
yeah, I think he says, I love you guys.
Here's the thing. I love Groot. I think I really don't like Vin Diesel. So in my head, I'm like, I just go, I really like Groot, but I really do not like Vin Diesel as a person or a professional. It's like,
really? Are you you're a rock stan?
No, I'm not a rock star. It's just I don't like his attitude. Like if you actually read up stuff about Vin Diesel and how he acts, he feels like he has to be like yes, okay, The Rock and Vin Diesel, they both have like the two biggest egos in Hollywood, and they just can't work together. But you actually like read up on Vin Diesel and how he treats people, especially on when he does like Fast and Furious productions. It's like, oh, you're a piece of shit. Like you feel like you still are a big deal, but you really are just milking this franchise to oblivion until you can hopefully enough pick something up. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. I mean, the trailer for Fast X is definitely like, I can't wait to watch that when it hits fucking Paramount Plus in 6 months.
I can tell you this right now. We're not gonna review that movie when it comes out.
Good. I'm glad.
We'll do Paramount Plus, or if there is a floating copy out there, we'll do like 2 minutes.
I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush to see it.
Yeah,
I like. But it'll be fine.
But the thing is, like, Groot's good, but there was like no. Obviously,
he's never. There's no arc for him. That's fine. It's just what he is. I think they give you good arc in his power. Like it's like he starts as like tanky Groot, and then he gets destroyed, and then he's kind of like scrawny Groot for a bit. With I even like that joke where he's just like the head with like the little tentacle leg. And I love at the like not quite the post credit scene, but like the epilogue scene when you see it's like the new Guardians of the Galaxy. You see like Warlock, the Kid, Rocket, and whatnot. And then there's like when they're about to fight, this giant version of Groot kind of unlocks himself and he stands up and he's just like 15 feet tall and just so huge. And I was like, oh, that's very cool. That's very cool.
But I think that last I saw, I didn't let you respond to your last thing. Yeah, when he's still like, I love you guys, you're like, oh, that's it? Because you're waiting for that moment and him's going to actually like break I am Groot to say something actually meaningful.
Yeah, I knew he was going to,
Yeah, so
and like it's not a bad thing to say. I don't know, it just felt like too cheesy or something. Like it felt
it's just
off.
It's just like the writer's like, oh shit, we got to Vin, just say I love you. And just like, okay. I love you guys.
And so it's funny because I always hear Vin Diesel in Groot's voice. And you were like, it shouldn't be that I can clearly tell that it's Vin Diesel. But I hear Vin Diesel more than I hear Bradley Cooper in Rocket. Like he does a better job affecting his voice in a way that I'm like, that's just Rocket. That's just fucking Rocket, dude. That's not Bradley Cooper.
That's actually I actually had this argument at the studio. Because we're all talking about the Super Mario movie. And I've said this before. The reason why I don't like Seth Rogen, or is it Seth Rogen? Yeah, Seth Rogen.
At Donkey Kong?
At Donkey Kong is because it's like, is Donkey Kong sounding like Seth Rogen? Or is it just like for me, I just hear Donkey Kong. He did not try at all.
He didn't try.
But I understand like that's what Donkey Kong sounds like. Like it's, I don't know. For me, his explanation of why Donkey Kong sounds like him isn't good enough for me. It's like everyone else felt very different. Maybe Chris Pratt, but even Chris Pratt put some effort into it.
I think so. And
it's
I can totally agree. And I think that I think there's an argument to be made that like Vin Diesel could try more, but I think in the end, Groot is such a small, fun character that exists to be definitely a side character that it doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
But I think all the performances are excellent across the board. I thought the acting level is like really hit a high point in the Marvel universe. Like this is probably the best acted in the entire, like the most consistently well acted in the entire Marvel universe.
I liked everyone who played a character in that movie. I'm except for Vin Diesel, but I really enjoyed like the High Revolution. I can't remember who's the actor for that.
I can't remember. I feel like I've seen him in other stuff, but
yeah, he did a really fantastic job. And I like that that one little helper guy, the Asian guy. I can't remember who he was, but like you can see
he's called the Recorder.
Yeah. I just loved how like that actor made that little henchman so unlikable and hated that when you see him just getting pushed out of the ship and just getting kind of like grounded in and then drowned in the lake, you're like, fuck that guy.
Yeah, you're so excited to see him fucking die.
Yeah.
No, man. Yeah, to me, I feel like we're kind of wrapping up the movie. To me, I feel like there was no moment that I wasn't like having a good time. Like when they go, like even the build up to like the kind of like the face to face with the High Evolutionary where they're like, Peter, it's a fucking trap. And he's like, no, if you know it's a trap, it's a face off. And they're like, well, what if they know that you know that it's a trap? Like, come on. And then you're like, come on, Peter, like, don't be fucking stupid. But he actually did have a plan. Groot has all these guns hidden, and they kill everyone. And I was like, okay. And then their plan to escape was, the reveal of this new power of Groot in such a way where I wasn't upset. Like, I'm like, that seems like a believable power based on what we've seen Groot do, is that he can turn his like branches into wings. I was like, well, this is fine.
The one thing that was weird, because I was like, oh, cool. Like Peter jumps out of the building. He has his rocket boots that he has shown in every single Guardians movie and even the Avengers movie. Oh, you don't have it?
Because they wouldn't allow him to take weapons in.
Well, I mean, is rocket boots a weapon?
I think they would qualify them as weapons.
I guess.
I mean, to me, that's a pretty okay explanation.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. But also too, it's like they didn't scan Groot.
Yeah. That's actually a point that I had. I was like, I get it. Yeah. But also like, and I mean, like maybe they didn't know that Groot can like pull apart his body in that way, so they didn't scan super deep. But I thought that too. I was like, really?
Yeah.
like on Earth in 2023, we have scanners that would have detected those guns.
Yeah, and I think it just, to me, it's like it was how I would have, if I was gonna write that and become like a Picard method, it's just like being super geeky but make it kind of realistic. Is that you can kind of maybe see Groot in the corner of the room and he's secretly taking everyone's guns while in the room.
Yeah, maybe.
Because it's like because it's still kind of like a heist movie. But yeah, anyways, back to the movie. It's like, okay, I did come in here as 7. To be honest, I knew you were gonna like it. I knew you were gonna like this movie.
Yeah, it's so fucking James Gunn. It's so James Gunn.
Yeah, but it's like I still give it I gave it a 7. Maybe after talking about it a little bit more, I kind of like it because I didn't have anyone to talk about this with. Jillian.
It does really change it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was talking to Jillian, she's like, sounds like you really did not like this movie, and then with that behavior, she's just kind of egging me on to not like it.
Totally, yeah, and she kind of pulls out all the things you don't like about it.
Yeah, because she didn't watch the movie with me. I just went by myself because she's not into watching movies, which is fine. So I think I'll upgrade this to 7.5. But I think if I rewatch it again, my criticism and my kind of tweaks, I feel like if they did do that, it could have changed the movie a little bit more.
I think that's totally fair.
Yeah.
And in the end, like, it's always subjective. Like, I think there's things that I'll argue about like being a specific, craft thing. But a lot of it is just like, did that line land? Did those emotional beats land? Nothing else matters. Like, you can appreciate, cinematography or lighting or composition. But if it doesn't hit you emotionally, then it's just like, it can only be so good.
Yeah. I think actually one thing just two things I want to say is, what's actually kind of cool? What I actually kind of realized during half the movie is that seeing laser guns shoot is lame. Seeing guns like projectile guns shoot is cool. Because I think if you rewatch a scene of when Rocket escapes and you see Lila get shot in the back, and then you see all of Rocket's friends get shot and him shooting back at them, I was thinking, I'm like, they're shooting bullets. That's interesting. And then you think about it, I'm like, oh, what happens if they're shooting lasers, which, like, let's say a lot of them have like laser beam weapons.
Yeah.
It actually it's very different because like if you see blaster shots go and you just see gunshots like the projectors, it's a very different show. Like, it's a very different scene. Just that one. I
think that's true.
Difference.
Well, I think like laser guns are so far removed from our brain's sense of danger that it's just like, cartoon.
You can just dodge it.
Even if it's sci-fi and it's guns, like there's muzzle flare and there's a projectile flying, we have a sense of that danger. Even though most of us, including me, I've never been shot at. Like, I've shot guns, but I still don't like know what the feeling of being shot at is.
Yeah.
And so, but I think there's like more like real parts of human experience that people connect with, like a projectile gun versus a laser blaster.
Yeah. I think also I think another kind of thing is that what guns or like the traditional bullets and projectiles is that when you see someone shoot a gun in a movie, you don't know if it actually landed or not. It's like, you have to the camera always has to pan to see, or you see the facial reaction of the person getting shot. Because you can see there was that moment where Rocket was shooting at those other guards, and then he succeeds by killing those guys. But then you didn't know that it was collateral damage. Like I could tell you anything.
Tough moment.
Yeah, no one knew, and it's like, oh, that sucks. Like
I think in your heart of hearts, none of them are making out of there.
Oh, 100%.
I knew, I was like, all his buddies are dead, but I didn't expect it to be like that, where it's like, he outmaneuvers all the guards, shoots them, and he's like, I'm a cowboy. And then he turns around and everyone's fucking dead because he's so small that when they tried to shoot him, they shot everybody else.
Yeah. So that part was just really exciting. But yeah, I just wanted to like kind of highlight like that whole interesting thing about guns versus laser beam. It's not like Star Wars.
Totally fair. It's no, totally. And I think I prefer more realistic guns in my sci-fi. I think like spaceships having lasers and shit's fine.
That's fine.
But there's a cartoon element of laser blasters that it totally is not the same. Yeah, and it's still fine. Like I like some Star Wars fine, but
yeah. And I think the one last thing I really enjoyed was the whole the Guardians landing on Counter Earth for the first time, having that unfortunate incident of miscommunication, and they can't talk to each other, which is really kind of interesting. But then seeing them going to that person's house and then trying to communicate with that family, that was so good. But then I think this is why hurt a lot of the viewers, is that when the planet exploded, you're like, those people died too.
Yeah, they're all fucking dead. The whole planet's fucking dead. Yeah. And I was almost like surprised they didn't milk that emotionally more. Yeah. Because they kind of just like the planet explodes and then you kind of move on. But like, bro, like we don't know how many people on that planet. Maybe it's only like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, but it might be million, it might be billions. Like
it looked like whole planet. It looked like
it looked like Earth. And so if it's like Earth, in the 70s, it's like what, 6 billion people. And so Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad we talked about it, because I enjoyed this movie more than expected. I knew I was gonna like it just because I fucking love James Gunn, and I knew that he had been thinking about this movie for a while, and that like it was kind of a big thing because he got fired from it originally. Like originally it wasn't gonna be him because some old tweets surfaced that were like pretty shitty tweets, but thankfully he has grown as a person and he had demonstrated his characters in other ways, and so he was able to kind of earn people's forgiveness and trust.
Here's the thing too. It's like those tweets were like 10 plus years old, and there's one reason why I kind of wish our cancel culture episode never came out, because we did talk about that. It's just like, can you really judge someone that's like 10 years ago? Because when you think about it, I think what is it, like every 7 years all the cells that we have are dead, and we're kind of like a new person.
Yeah, so that's literally a different being.
Yeah, so I mean, like, if you're the same person 10 years ago, oh, you are just stunted, my friend. Like, you're not growing. I mean,
well, and I totally agree where people shouldn't be solely judged based on things that are 10 years ago. I think if someone did something fucking horrendous 10 years ago, that needs to be discussed and that needs to be addressed and they need to be held accountable for it. Yeah. But I think that, to me, a big thing that just doesn't exist today is second chances. And some people don't deserve second chances, but some people kind of do. And I think our society will be better if we bring that back as a value of like forgiveness and compassion and understanding, not at the sacrifice of the defense of the other values that we have. But I think that we've pushed it a little too far. We're like, you fuck up once, you're fucking erased.
Yeah.
And I think like that, to me, that's not what cancel culture is. To me, like the idea of cancel culture is it's kind of like more like this fake version of that. And I think there's good because holding people accountable is really important. But I also think that like there's some people that do stuff and I'm like, I feel like they can explain it. And if we just paused and listened, we might understand a little bit more and maybe we could do something more better with this.
Yeah. I don't know. This is my kind of, this could be a hot take, but this is how I kind of see it. I think with most times with the mob culture for like cancel, like people trying to cancel Mr. Beast, people even trying to cancel James Gunn. I think people who add into that kind of mentality of hate and everything do not actually care about it. They just want to do it because everyone else is doing it. And it could be just the meaning of getting one like on their tweet to 10 likes to the tweet. And it just kind of adds this kind of like mental kind of big thing.
I think it's always so tough. And I think a very human thing to do is to generalize everyone that has opposing views to you into one single idea and interpret your own idea as this complex, multifaceted thing. And so I think like it's easy to look at people that, don't share your opinion and be like, every single person that I disagree with is an agreement. So this person that has an absolute trash take and is a piece of shit has the same take as the person that like might disagree with me for like an actually intellectual reason. And that's all blended into one big thing of that's bullshit. That's fucking stupid. But like really, if people did that to us, it would be really hard to defend that point of view. If I had to defend my point of view based on the stupidest people that share my point of view, it would be really fucking hard to do so. And so I think that's part of this element of like, we don't have any understanding. We don't have any compassion. We don't have any ability to forgive people. And we don't have any ability to listen. I think that that's not a good thing for our society. I think there are people that have been given multiple chances to explain themselves, to defend themselves, and they continue to be pieces of shit.
Yeah.
Fuck you. And I also think like cancel culture for actors is not really a thing. It's like either I like this actor or I don't. And if I find out things about this actor that I don't like, then like you're just not bankable anymore. So like, sorry, your multi-million-dollar career now is shifting to something different. You're just not likable. Like that's not cancel culture. It's like you're just not likable anymore. Sorry.
It's the whole Jonathan Major things, which I'm kind of following a little bit closer because I'm just curious about it. I'm not curious about
that's really unfortunate.
Yeah. I want to know what the truth is and what's a lie. Like that's the kind of thing it is. But anyways, I don't want to talk about it too much. I think the last thing,
that's a different episode.
Yeah. I do want to talk about this last thing is about, my kind of quick experience with AMC.
Tell me about it. Yeah, I've never been to AMC. Actually, that's not true. There used to be an AMC in Toronto.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or Ottawa.
So AMC is kind of like the largest movie theater brand in the USA, which I believe. So, full disclosure, I am an investor. I bought one share because back in the
what's it at like $20?
I think it was at $40 at the time, and I'm losing $20. So
whatever.
It's fine. Regretted. So I signed up for an account. It even asks if you're a stockholder.
Which was that's interesting. What is that? What are they going to do with that information?
Yeah, so it was kind of weird. But it was like, so AMC is kind of weird because they will find a way to milk every dollar out of you to go see a movie. So those so many different kind of movies that you, like the same movie and how you watch it. So there's the standard. Those Dolby Cinema, which I'm fucking kicking myself for not watching in Dolby Cinema.
You should just watch that. Yeah, it's probably the same as AVX in Canada.
Well, yeah. So those IMAX and those IMAX 3D, which I did the movie in, which was really sad. And then real 3D. So I was just like, I'm like looking at each selection. I'm like, what do I pick? So I just picked the most expensive one, which was IMAX 3D.
And theoretically, that should be the best one.
Yeah. And then so buying the ticket, reserving the seat was really good, really easy. But here's where it gets kind of weird is that yes, you can buy food ahead of time and pick it up, which is really convenient, but there's a fucking online processing fee, which is to me the most horseshit way of making money online. It's just the stupidest thing. And here's the kicker. If I paid a monthly subscription for the top tier movie or then one of the higher ones, but you have to pay like $10 or $15. It'll waive that fee. So if you watch like five movies a month, then it works out to be the same, and you get all the benefits.
Well, John, I'm sorry to tell you that's been a thing for a while in Canada too.
Oh, I haven't watched a lot of movies. Yeah.
So Cineplex has the same thing. It's $1.50 to buy tickets online.
I think it's $2.99.
Was that $2.99? Damn. So if you are subscribed to CineClub, which I am, which gives you, it's actually like kind of a sick. So you get with CineClub, it's $10 a month. You get one free movie a month. You get 20% off concessions, and you get discounts for other shit. Who cares? You get discounts on the other tickets you buy. And so I go to enough movies that the $10 a month more than pays for itself. And so I don't experience the fees, but it shows me at the bottom of my receipt, like $1.50 processing fee, like crossed out. And I'm always like, fuck you. If you ever charge me that, I'm never going. Fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm so mad.
It's so like crazy about like all the memberships about it. Cause it's like, you can also get the credit cards. You can do this. And like, yes, I know Cineplex in Canada has the same thing, but it's just like,
not quite the same. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so like, to me, like doing things online was a way for us to not have to go to the ticket click.
Well, and it's cheaper for them to not pay staff to run a fucking like box office. That makes no sense. And it's like you look at the airlines, and airlines have a similar thing, but it's the opposite, where the cheap airlines, if you check in online, it's free, but if you want to check in person, it's $30.
Oh,
and
really?
So that's bullshit, but it makes more sense to me, where it's like, yes, there's a person involved that costs money, and they want to encourage you just to do it online so that they don't have to have anyone at the airport.
Yeah.
But this, online processing fee is the ultimate bullshit of like, they're just trying to figure out how to make a little more money off of you without raising ticket prices directly.
Yeah. So it sucked. So I paid that. I bought, I was like, oh, okay, I want to see what the food is like. I didn't get the dine-in. There's like a dine-in option too. That's another,
sure.
That's like the Cineplex VIP.
Like the VIP kind of thing? Yeah.
So I didn't get that because I was like $40 a ticket. I was like, I'll save that.
Okay, one second. I need to pee so bad. Okay, I'm back. Yeah.
All right. So I did. Okay. Okay. So let's get talk about food. So I did get food. And it was $19.95 for a large soda. Or I'm gonna say pop. Fuck them. And a large tub of gourmet popcorn.
That's
it's that was it. But here's the kicker: was that the gourmet popcorn was split in half in a little tiny like KFC bucket. One was caramel popcorn, which was very good. But I kind of like was thinking, I'm like, oh, they're doing a Chicago mix, and you get the cheese popcorn. No, it's just regular fucking popcorn. I was so disappointed. I'm like, what the fuck? Like $20 for all of this? But granted, the drink was literally like probably 48 ounces, which works out to be like 3 liters. I couldn't finish it. I was like, I drank like
a lot of fucking soda.
I think I just drank like an eighth of it, and I was like, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. It is just like gross. But other than that,
so much fucking money.
Yeah, I paid like $45 to watch this movie. I'm like, I'm just gonna
by yourself.
By myself. Like
that's so much money. Yeah, because I paid for me, Cassie, and Zoe. I paid $45 for tickets because I have the discount and one free one. And then I paid $20 for popcorn and 2 sodas.
So that's $40 American. I pretty much paid your 3. Oh, what the fuck? That's so
crazy.
Stupid. Fuck. I'm so mad.
That's crazy. That sucks that AMC is that bad.
Yeah.
Do they used to have the like unlimited movie pass thing. Do they still have that?
No, I don't think so. Because people kind of like really probably just like, do it. But they have here it is. I looked it up. So they have the $20 per month AMC, they call it AMC Stubs A-List. So you get 3 movies every week in Dolby Cinema, which that's
every week?
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Plus
essentially unlimited movies, yeah.
Yeah, plus get star status and the same perks as AMC Stubs Premiere. Oh, okay, so you get like free upgrades, cheaper drinks. Okay, you have $20 a month.
If you go to like 2, does it stack? That's the big one with Cineplex.
No, probably not.
Yeah, if you don't go to it, you can carry that forward to another month. And so like basically if you go to 12 movies a year or less, because you can use multiple I think you can use 2 per one movie. So if you and your partner go to 6 movies a year, it's well worth it. But if you can't, you probably can't stack it with AMC. But I mean, 3 movies a week is more than I need.
You know what? That makes sense because I think I should get it because like what's the big movies coming out? Spider-Man's coming out in a couple weeks.
Fast and Furious.
Oh God, no. But I do want to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Next big movies. You know what we should actually do a update on our episode of
most excited ones. I think we could do just like a last little part.
Yeah.
Because we have other movies to talk about. I actually saw Evil Dead Rise on Friday.
Did you? Is it good?
Yeah. It's fucking scary, man.
No,
I don't like horror movies. I'm fine with them. Like I don't usually get scared. But this was a fucking scary movie. And like me and Zoe both were like, oh God. And like it's violent, but it's not like painfully violent. Like in the last one, there's some fucked up shit where I was like, I don't want to watch this anymore. But they don't have that. It's just like really intense and really like scary and thrilling. But I if you like horror movies and you like being scared, Evil Dead Rise is fucking top tier.
Yeah. Maybe we should
different.
Maybe we should get Sarah to come on because she loves horror movies.
Yeah, I think we should. I mean,
yeah.
I wanted to watch it. Yeah, I wanted to watch Beau is Afraid on Friday, but the only theater that shows it is the one in Chinatown. So I was like, it's a little too far to go. And so we watched Evil Dead Rise. Have we talked about the Tetris movie yet too? Because I watched that recently.
Oh, I haven't watched it. Is that a movie? Is it good?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I would highly recommend it. It's based on this true story behind Tetris.
Yeah,
and it's fucking so fun. It's thrilling and stressful, but it's so exciting and it's just a great watch.
Yeah.
So I'd highly recommend that.
All right, I'm in the coming soon. So the Little Mermaid's coming out. I do not want to see that. Not for the racist reasons. I just didn't think they should have made that movie. I was like, why?
No, they don't need to make live action.
Yeah.
Although I will say the trailer played before this movie, her voice is fucking incredible.
Oh, she's a great okay. I love her and her sister as like artists and singers. They're great in the whole show. Grownish, they're fantastic in it. I just didn't like. Yes, there's the painfully stupid reason to not like this movie is because the racist like, oh, Ariel shouldn't be black. Yeah. That's super dumb. I just go, Disney, stop making live action movies. Thank God.
That's the legitimate reason. Like, fuck you. I don't need a live action remake for The Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Granted, thank you, Disney, for killing the Moana live action release.
They killed it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's because I think people just are uproar going, this is stupid for making live action. And also I think it's because like The Rock has a $3 billion lawsuit against him, which is super stupid. Doesn't make sense.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just really bad. So there's that. Let me see. Fast X. I don't care. The Machine. Spider-Man.
Well, the new Transformers looks pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm kind of excited.
I will tell you something after recording. I got an email, which is really like, Flash. I want to watch Flash. Elemental. Maybe.
Looks okay. It looks like it feels like Pixar is not heading in the right direction, and Elemental does not look like a return to form.
No. Asteroid
City. Yeah.
That looks sick.
Oh, that's gonna be good. Indiana Jones looks good too.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Is that maybe I should buy it for June at least, because it's like there's a lot of movies coming in June.
Yeah. Well, in July has Mission Impossible 7, Barbie, Oppenheimer. The new Haunted Mansion. Cool.
I don't know if I want to watch Oppenheimer because it's like, why did you have to make a real explosion?
I'm guessing. I feel like that's kind of silly. I'm not a big fan of, film doing that kind of stuff, but it probably will be a pretty good movie. I don't know.
I mean, it's a true story. Well, I mean, it's probably going to be a little bit stretched true story.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it will.
It's going to be, okay, this is my prediction with Oppenheimer. It's going to be like Dunkirk. Like that feeling of like anxiousness.
Yeah.
And that movie is just going to have that because they'll try to beat Russia and then also Germany from making an atomic bomb. That's
I think the thing I don't really get about Oppenheimer is like, what's the scene to scene going to be? Like they're building a nuclear bomb and it's going to be fucking crazy. But like, what are the scenes? What's the story? Like, what are the scenes that are adding up to this bigger, event going to be?
This is my prediction because you're going to watch it. I'm probably going to hold off until I feel like it. But it's the same thing I did with Tenet. I'm like, I don't need to see it.
Tenet sucks.
Yeah. I like Tenet is good as a writing exercise, but it's not a good movie.
There's just so much wrong with it.
Yeah. But I think this is what's going to happen. I think the scene, the stuff that's in between and transitions, it's going to be kind of like a heist kind of movie a little bit. He's like, let's get the team together. Let's go around, get Einstein and all those like the prominent people who made the atomic bomb. And then it's just going to be like him having visions about the explosion and then him, Oppenheimer's, this is like a real thing. Oppenheimer's like kind of like thoughts of like, is this going to work? Is this going to destroy the world? Or what is the disastrous effects of actually unlocking this power? Which, to be fair, is 100% a big concern because you're making a destructive weapon, which is kind of quasi cheap to make when you think about it. And then
for the amount of destruction it causes, yes.
Yeah. And then, but also like, are people going to use this thing responsibly? Like that's the thing. It's like, so far humanity has used it fairly responsibly. It's not being like a commonly used weapon. Thank God.
Yeah. There's really the 2 that went off in Japan.
And then all the tests and
everything else,
islands and everything.
Yeah.
But like, can we reuse this weapon responsibly, and then everything. It's just that kind of anxiousness, and then all his like the rise and happening, and then his ultimately kind of.
But how many downfall. Scenes of like Oppenheimer and the different people walking around moralizing can there be? Will it? Because like to me, if it is just a movie of like like you need to make this ultimate weapon. I don't think I should make this ultimate weapon. Talking to a bunch of people, should I make this ultimate weapon? No, you shouldn't. Yes, you should. No, you shouldn't. And like it's just 2.5 hours of just that kind of fucking bullshit philosophical meandering that I think Christopher Nolan kind of sucks at. Then I think it's gonna suck.
Well, it is just gonna happen like that, and then you just see like in the background like things happening and him progressing and just starting to get like kind of like visions about it, because like it was like the whole trailer. It was like scenes and then explosion, scenes, explosions, scenes.
Well, and like a ton of people assembling the bomb and shit. I'm like, I don't want to see montages of people assembling the nuclear bomb. Yeah. So to me, the other thing too is like, are they going to show war as well? Like, because they've shown us, pretty much if what they've shown us is the whole movie, it's basically just the lead up to the testing. Yeah, that's it. But I think there'll be more to it. Like there'll be the war. There'll be like when they actually dropped the bombs. There'll be like this whole other part of the movie that they're not showing because it's a Christopher Nolan movie and he doesn't have to show anything. He gets to sell it just on the fact that it's a Christopher Nolan movie. Yeah. At least I'm hoping that there's like everything in the trailer is like the first 20 minutes. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I just hope I think this was a true thing that they said is that either Brad Pitt's character, I think the general, or maybe Oppenheimer himself, it's like, okay, after they detonate the nuclear bomb and it worked, it's like, I think he says like, oh, now we're all sons of bitches. Like, it's just like they unlocked it, they did it, but now they kind of like have that kind of quasi philosophical going, shit, what did we do? Yeah. Like, we've unlocked this, we're fucked. Like, it's so great. But anyways, that's why I'm looking forward to.
Like lots of movies. I think it'll be worth at least the 1 month. Hopefully it's not one of those things that you pay monthly, but you're locked in for the year. Because if you can do month per time, it seems like instead of buying a movie ticket, just fucking get a month of membership and cancel it right away.
I'll fucking die.
We'll see. Happens. But I think we should call it because we've been recording for an hour 50. Yeah. And that was really good. I appreciated every second of that discussion. Jono, I appreciate you. I also appreciate you, audience, for making it this far. If you want to let us know what you thought, you can message us at letswingit22@gmail.com or on our podcast Twitter at letswingitpod on Twitter or our Patreon, patreon.com/letswingit.
Yeah, and actually, I'll quickly shout out all the people here. Oh, we actually got a new drummette, John Gers. Thank you. You just signed up today. We have Emma Franklin,
shout out
Bradshaw, Maury Martinez, Sly Merlin, Ethan Lowe, David Curry, Briggs Wellman, Emerald Co, Daniel Quazo, Joe Norton, Cody Owen, Matthew Newman, especially big one, and then Mike. 1814, Guillermo Navarro,
Guillermo, shout out. We did it. All right, I'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.